Hi everyone and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Super Skills Saturday and this time I'm going to be teaching you all about interviews. So last time we went over CVs and how to get yourself noticed amongst a pile of other applications. But now we're looking at the next stage and that is being interviewed. Selling yourself on paper is all well and good, but if you can't sell yourself in an interview, you're not going to get the job. Once again, I'm going to put up timestamps so you can skip ahead if there's an area you're stuck on. What to wear. For job interviews, you should definitely make an effort. Depending on what it is, you don't always have to wear a suit, but black and white are great colours to go with. Definitely aim for smart or smart casual at the very minimum. You want to look your best, and by making an effort, you look more responsible and employable. Forget your own personal style for a moment, just dress to impress and you'll make a good impression. However, there is nothing wrong with injecting a little personality into your outfit as long as you judge it right. I can't stress this enough. Don't wear jewellery. Now I know that sounds odd because you'd think that would make your outfit smarter, and it does. But if you're a fidgety sort of person, there is a risk that you can play with your jewellery throughout the interview without even realising it. And that can be super distracting to the person who's interviewing you. Trust me. If you know you're not a fiddler, then by all means wear some jewellery, but be aware of what kind of person you are subconsciously. For similar reasons, I would say don't wear a watch either because it's easy to subconsciously check the time, and this could come across as rude or you're disinterested. Don't eat. Do not bring food or drink into the interview. I've had people drinking coffee the whole time I've been interviewing them, or chewing gum, which is really distracting. You want your focus to be on the interviewer, and you want their focus to be on you, not what you've got in your mouth. If you have a bag with you, and I know guys, sometimes you keep everything in your pockets, but if you have a bag, then maybe have a bottle of water in there, so if you do get hot or have dry mouth, you can ask your interviewer if it's okay for you to have some water. Water is much better than whipping out a can of Coke mid-interview. Be early. You are given a time slot for your interview, but this is when the interviewer wants to start, not when you should be walking through the door. 10 minutes is the ideal amount of time to be early because any earlier than that, you're going to be hanging around, and any later, they're going to think you're not serious about the job. I would aim to get somewhere 20 minutes earlier, and then you can look around shops or sit in your car until there's 10 minutes to go and then just go in. You are being watched. You are being judged from the second you walk through the door, and more often than not, the interviewer will make you wait for your interview because they're not quite ready for you yet. Sometimes this is true as the previous candidate's interview could run on, but sometimes the person is ready for you and they make you wait anyway so they can observe you. If they tell you to take a look around, this happens a lot in retail jobs, then make sure you do it. Take a look at what products they sell and mental note what you like about the place. Other things to do is talk to the staff. Engaging with the staff will allow you to find out more about the place and also leave a good impression with the people who work there. Because yes, we do ask the staff, what do you think? Because the interviewee is more likely to be relaxed around random staff members they think aren't judging them. Things not to do is get out your phone. If you immediately whip out your phone, then you're not paying attention to your surroundings or engaging with the place. Prospective employers will notice this. On to the questions. No two interviews are the same, but there are certain questions that pop up time and again that you can and should prepare for. I'm going to go through those questions and tell you how to and how not to answer. So, tell me about yourself. This is usually the opening question to any interview, and it's the question that I used to tell whether a person is going to be suitable for the job or not, so you don't want to trip up here. There are several ways not to answer. 1. What do you want to know? This means you can't think on your feet. 2. There's not much to tell. This means you're boring. 3. Rattling off your CV. They've already read it, so they don't need a repeat. 4. Listing every single thing about you. What this question is really about is seeing how you interact with the person who's interviewing you and also to gauge your personality to see if you're going to be a good fit within the team. You can tell them what you've been up to lately, what you love, why you're here. Talk about your home life, anything you think will show your personality and allow you to engage with the person you're speaking to. This is a good time to judge the room to see what kind of interview it will be. I always like to make a small, jokey comment to see how they will react. If they laugh, then I can be a bit more casual in how I answer the questions. But if they just stare at me, then I move on and it's professional all the way. What are your strengths and weaknesses? This is a question the recruiters love to ask, but people hate to answer. The worst way to answer strengths is with, I don't know, Because they're basically asking you to sell yourself to them. And if you can't tell them what you're good at, they won't see your worth. As I said in my CV video, you don't want to use buzzwords like honest, responsible, hardworking, etc. because that's so cliche. With strengths, give 3 with a little explanation, such as I'm very much a people person because I've spent the last X amount of years working in a diverse team in a customer-facing role. With weaknesses, give only 1 because you don't want to sell yourself short. And the worst ways to answer this question is, I don't have any weaknesses. Come on, everyone has weaknesses. Or, I'm just too much of a perfectionist, because that is such an eye roll of an answer. Think of what your weakness actually is and tell them how you overcome it. My weakness is maths. I'm not good with numbers and I would rather take a bit more time and use a calculator to make sure I got it right than worry that people are going to judge me for it and get it wrong. Then there's the jokey route, with my favourite response I've ever received is, my weakness is I just can't say no to chocolate. I knew in that second that I wanted to hire that person, but again, make sure you've established the tone of the interview first if you're planning on going down the jokey route. What do you know about the company? It boggles my mind that people do not prep for this question, as it comes up in every single interview ever. I'm not even kidding. I've never been to an interview that doesn't ask this question. The 2 worst ways you can answer this is with, I don't know, or by rattling off the first 2 lines of the company's Wikipedia page. There are 2 ways to attack this question. The internet is a wonderful tool, so whatever company you're going for, look at their website, their social media pages, their reviews, anything you can get your hands on, and make notes of whatever stands out to you. It was established in whatever year by this guy is all well and good, but things you need to look up are what kinds of products or services they offer, whether they are a single unit or part of a large chain, if they're owned by or partners with any other company, where they're based. There's a lot you can learn. The other way is to actually go there. This is useful especially for retail jobs because you can look around the place and see their products firsthand. Make note of the kinds of products they do and pick out what you like, so when they ask you what you know about the company, you can dazzle them with your first-hand knowledge. Why do you want to work for us? I need a job because I need money is normally the honest answer, but companies don't want to hear that at all. They want to know that you really want to work for them, even though you've applied for every job under the sun because you really need money. So why do you want to work there? Do you love the product or service they provide? Have you had good experience with them before and want to join the team because of it? Is it something that suits your personality or skill set? Is it something you've always wanted to do? Enthusiasm sells, and if you sell yourself as wanting this job, they're more likely to give it to you. Give me an example of a time. I hate these questions because you've really got to think on your feet, and there can be lots of them and you can't always prep for them. These have included, give me an example of a time you gave great customer service. Give me an example of a time you had to deal with a difficult situation. Give me an example of a time you worked well as a team. Give me an example of a time you adapted to a new environment. I can't tell you the answers to these questions, but I can help you think on your feet. Generally, really good or really bad moments of your working life stick out to you. When asked a question, use one of these memories as a base and work around it, even if you have to tweak some of the details to make it fit the question. So give me a time when you had to deal with a difficult situation. You remember a time you were working in a shop and some customer was screaming at you because you didn't have something in stock. There was nothing you can do about it and they ended up storming out. That is your base memory. Now here's what we say. I had an irate customer approach me because we were out of stock of an item they needed. I stayed calm because no good will come out of shouting back, and I offered an alternative product. Although they left without purchasing anything, it diffused the situation. Think of a time when something has happened at work and use it to your advantage. Now that brings me to those who haven't had these experiences, or perhaps it's your first job ever. Use examples from your school or personal life. Pull a memory that best fits the narrative and work with that. If, however, you've got nothing, think of what you would do and tell them that. For example, give me a time when you had to deal with a difficult member of staff. If you've never had a job before, then you're going to draw a blank, so you start your answer with, I've never had that experience before, however. Now think about how you would want to be treated by others. You wouldn't want to be yelled at in front of everyone, and maybe there was a reason you had behaved that way, so flip the scenario and use it in your answer. I've never had to experience that before, however, I would take them to one side, talk to them calmly, and see if there was a reason for why they acted the way they did. Scenario questions. Scenario questions can be absolutely anything and they're hard to prep for too. These are questions that end with, what would you do? Such as, a member of staff is struggling with a task. What would you do? Again, it's about pulling from experience and thinking quickly, but also about thinking of the obvious and less obvious answers. So for this question, the obvious answer is to go and help them. But what about the less obvious? Think about it. They might hate you and not want your help. They may want to complete the task on their own. You may have a task that you're doing so you can't go and help them. So it goes from the answer being, I'd go and help them, to, if I had no pressing task of my own, I would approach them and see if they wanted help. If I was not equipped to help and they were still struggling, I would offer to find someone who was better suited to help. Like I said, these kinds of questions are hard to prep for and you may fumble some interview questions, but it's important you don't beat yourself up over it and instead learn from your mistakes. What are you passionate about? Do not say nothing! It could be anything. You're passionate about your kids, making money, makeup, learning new things, traveling, anything. But don't get caught off guard by this question. Plan ahead. So after these kinds of questions comes the practical questions with more rigid answers. Things like, when can you start and what hours can you work? Do not say you can work anything if you're planning on joining a football club in a few weeks where you'll need Saturday afternoon off. Employers will not be happy if 2 weeks into working you say you can't do stuff. Be upfront and they will decide if they can work around your needs. If you're not, then they can turn around and say, well, you said you could work anything and won't give you time off for the things you need. The same goes for when you can start work. If you have a big party in 2 days that you know you're going to be hungover from, don't say you can start immediately because they could literally start you the very next day. Either cancel your plans because the job is more important or honestly tell them when you can start. Do you have any questions? The interview will always end with this, and it's a good time to ask something. Things I like to ask are, why did the previous person in this position leave? Is there room for progression within the company? When will I know if I have the job or not? You don't have to ask anything if you can't think of anything, and a good way around this is to say, you've already answered what I was going to ask. So that's about it from me, and I hope this helps you prepare for interviews in the future. Good luck with your job searches, and feel free to ask questions in the comments below or come say hi on social media. I'll speak to you soon, and thanks for watching.